What we're going to be doing today is going over 4 things you guys need to be doing in your own games to build closed team sheet VGC teams from scratch that are good in like a best of 1 situation, kind of like how we have the global and grand challenges coming up. This is exactly how I like to make my teams for those respective events, as well as like, premier challenges, any sort of best of 1 format, any sort of ladder format, anything like that. This is how I like to build all my teams. I broke it down into 4 pretty easy steps that you guys can be following. The first thing you want to do is take a look at usage stats. Take a look at recent tournaments that are going to happen. So that's going to be taking a look at things like, victory road tournaments, if I can type, right? So like this is something you can do to analyze usage stats, to see what people are using, to see the common move sets, EV spreads, things like that. You can also use other websites like LabMouse and Peakalytics to find these usage stats, as well as some like online ladders and stuff like that on Pokemon Home. So understanding what the usage stats are behind like a specific Pokemon is going to be pretty good. What you're actually looking for is a higher usage rate in day 2 or phase 2 of a Swiss or a Top Cut than there are in day 1. That's going to show that a Pokemon is like overperforming, which means it's trending well. So what you're looking to do is recognize those patterns so you can find Pokemon that fulfill that same role but do it in a different way, so you can kind of tweak the composition of your team around it. I know it sounds really complicated, but we're going to get into it in just a minute. So the next thing you want to do is put all your Pokemon that could work in a box. Now, you could use a box inside your main game on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's what I like to do a lot of the time. I like just going through my boxes and looking through all my Pokemon just to get like inspiration on stuff to use. But I would also recommend just going to Pokemon Showdown here. You see I have like a whole bunch of teams right here. I have 4,000 something teams on Showdown. You click this button right here which says new box, and it looks just like a Pokebase here, but it can hold 30 Pokemon. And what you actually want to do is just go down the list after analyzing the usage stats and just add anything that kind of pops out that you're like, oh, that would be cool to use. That would be cool to use. Anything that like your gut says, we need to be trying this and investigating this a little bit more, add it to the box, add it to the list. We're going to niche these things down later. After that, you want to go to Pokemon Showdown and build. You want to start trying to fuse these Pokemon together to find like different ways to get them to do different jobs that they would not normally do. Now, a good example of this would be something like, turning a Gyarados, a good fast, bulky, intimidate user with Dragon Dance. You'd want to use that like as like a weird AV, like bulky support Pokemon. Or on the flip side, you can turn like a really like bulky support Pokemon into like a Specs powerhouse, like an Indeedee or something like that. You want to find like a different way to put a spin on it to give it a new way to be played from its previous previous iteration of what it normally was. So you want to get your opponent to think that you're playing standard, but you want to put a little spin on it. So that's going to be the hard part. That's the part that takes the most amount of time. And then after that, you just want to play a bunch of games. So I know this sounds really complicated, but we're going to run through all this. We're going to show you guys how I'm going to be building my team for this week's grand challenge. This is probably going to be the team that I use. So if you want to see all of the testing that goes along with that, just sit back, max, relax, and let's get right into it. And we are streaming this live on Twitch. Thank you guys for being so, calling when I was doing my YouTube intro, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. If you guys have questions, that means people watching on YouTube probably have questions. And yeah, let's just get into it. So let's analyze usage stats. Let's actually take a look at the most recent big tournament. This is going to be the VR, I believe VR3 that happened at the end of December. This is like the biggest tournament we've really had. We're still actually in whatever this meta is, right? There's definitely been that many other big Limitless tours since then. There obviously haven't many regionals. So this is like the de facto tournament that people are kind of pulling usage from. So the big pull away Pokemon from this format was like, not a lot of like dynamic speed control, not a lot of like Tornaduses and Whimsicots, not a lot of hard TR, but a bunch of like Hisui, Arcanine, and Fluttermane. And the Fluttermanes notably have cut Protect for secondary forms of speed control to have both Thunder Wave and Icy Wind, to have -1 and -2 speed control respectively. So that's like a big thing in this format that's actually really, really popular. If you actually take a look at some of the usage stats here after taking a look at some of these teams, you're going to start to see Fluttermane, #1 usage. And remember what I talked about. The thing that we're actually taking a look at here to see the Pokemon they're going to be overperforming is a higher percent usage in day 2, phase 2, than they had in phase 1. And that's like a really good example just to show that a Pokemon, and whatever role this Arcanine is doing, there has to be something about this Arcanine that makes it actually overperform in the day 2, in the final phase of the tournament, right? And the answer is massive AoE plus Fairy Resist. And that's pretty obvious because like it's a good pivot in for Fluttermane to block Moonblast, Dazzling Gleams, what have you, and then it repins things like, Incineroar. It's good into Rock Pawn here. Arcanine's good against a lot of these, and so you can kind of tell, like, every single time a Pokemon has like a much higher percent usage rate in like a day 2, there has to be something about it that makes it work, right? And so it's your job as people that are playing the game and learning to try and find out what it is about these Pokemon that you think is actually the thing making them work. So for example, like Torkoal, you could say, oh, well, yeah, Trick Room could be good. So like maybe, just throw a Choice Specs on there and it can delete a lot of these guys in a Trick Room. That could be what your iteration of what makes the Pokemon that we're talking about, Torkoal, good, right? So like lean into that and see if you're right. I actually think it's probably a mixture of it just setting the sun, it being a good helping hand user. It can go for eject pack, like overheat shenanigans to repin things. That's probably what it is if you want my expert opinion. But like, I really like that every single person can have a completely different perspective. What we're not looking for is Pokemon like Chi-Yu here, whose usage stats go all the way down to 0. Out of all 24 Chi-Yus in like day 1, like none of them made day 2, right? So you don't want, these Pokemon are frauds, right? For the most part. Like they can still be good in like best of 1 GC stuff, but that's not what we're looking to replicate. Whatever it is about this Chi-Yu, we don't want any bit of this because like, it just doesn't really work, right? So I do think that analyzing usage stats is going to be very, very important moving forward. What we really also want to take a look at is Pokemon that resist a lot of these offensive typings. I think it's going to be really good. So like Flutter Mane, the common set again is that Thunder Wave, Icy Wind. They usually carry Taunt, and then Moonblast. They actually don't really carry Shadow Ball. So what we're actually looking for are Pokemon that can pivot in on Moonblast, resist Moonblast, trade effectively with a lot of these Pokemon. Pokemon that can trade effectively with Bolt, trade effectively with Incineroar without being neutered by Intimidate. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this. Right, so I think I have a pretty good understanding of what a lot of these usage stats are, right? So I think that I'm going to go into my team builder right now, and I'm going to go into phase 2 of what we're going to be talking about here, which is put all the Pokemon that could work into a box. Again, this is stuff you think is good or should be explored, right? Now, you could also put, we're gonna emphasize on this with a focus on anti-meta, right? You could say you're just gonna fill the box with all the meta Pokemon. You're just gonna put Flutter Mane and Landorus and Ogerpon, all these things. That's not what we're doing. We're focusing on things that are not already on the list. We know these are good. We know these are solid. We want to find the diamonds in the rough. Stuff that like really, really like has a good lineup against a lot of these guys. So let's just go to this and start finding some diamonds here. Let's go mining for diamonds. Does anyone have any questions so far? I'm gonna turn this over to you guys. Anyone have any questions? Because I'm probably gonna be uploading this as like a cut up video on, I believe, on my side channel, because we've been doing a bunch of these little guides on the side channel. We've been kind of just showing usage stats, analyzing tournaments, and coming up with a bunch of stuff that I think should be explored more. And I feel everyone can kind of learn from this, because what you're doing is you're getting like as many second chance looks at like every part of your team building phase when you follow like a different person's perspective and stuff like that. All right, hey, you know what? I'm happy to have you here either way. I'm gonna go into this here. So let's start just by going on the list and take a look at Pokemon that we think are good into all of these usage stats right here. So again, the big ones being like, we do not want to have like an auto loss to this stuff if we can help it, right? Let's see. To be clear, anti-meta is not looking for all 6 being anti-meta. No, so like what we're looking for is just 30 Pokemon that are like very weird, like very like niche, right? And then what we're going to do is probably pick like 4 of them and put them in a team with like correct speed control and damage mitigation. Xanther, how goes it? So let's go. Let's just start the list off. What could be something that would be good into this meta? I think Annihilape is a good example. Now you could say that's Annihilape is meta. I don't see it on the list, right? Annihilape is good into Incin. It's Scarf, Jolly Annihilape, and just Jolly Annihilape in general are faster than Urshifu. It's good into Ogerpon. It can trade versus Bolt. It's good into Goldango, right? I think Annihilape's definitely worthy of being on this list, for sure, right? You don't have to pick, like, terrible Pokemon, but, like, Annihilape's a good example. Let's pick some more Pokemon, stuff that, like, could be viable. You could pick Arachnoquid. I think that's something that's worth talking about. I'm going to pick Archaludon. That's another very good Pokemon. We're just starting in the A, I'm not just trying to pick the good stuff, but we're not just going for that Reg F Classics, but that is actually here's another strat here. One thing that you might want to do, because this also works in singles as well, is pick a Pokemon right under whatever tier you're in or from last season's format, right? So if everything in Reg H doesn't really seem like it's working for you, take a look at what overperformed in Reg F. Sorry, If everything in Reg F isn't working for you, go back and take a look at everything that overperformed in Reg H that is not there. And you're going to start to see like, well, those things were good for a reason. Maybe they still work here. I've been feeling the urge to try some teams around Garg. I built a team with Garg a couple days ago. It's underwhelming. I'm going to tell you that right now, especially in a best of one closed sheet format. Sneasler is good. That's another, see, like, yeah, Sneasler is definitely a Pokemon. And Sneasler was on one of the teams that did really well recently. All of these Pokemon from Reg H are all still really, really good. So Hisui Typhlosion's another one. But we're just going to keep going on the list. Armourouge is underexplored, for sure. Armourouge is definitely underexplored. Keep on going down the list here. Galarian Articuno. Very, very underexplored, right? It's pretty good into a lot of these things. It's not good into Bolt, right? But you could Terra Ground, which is the most common Terra on it. You can super effective into Incin, Jolly and Timid outspeed, Urshifu. Fluttermanes don't commonly carry Shadow Ball, sorry. So I think it's actually pretty nice there. Keep on going on the list. Let's get out of the A's. Let's sort this by base stats. Let's just sort it by base stats. Get a different look here. So Garchomp's undervalued. Heatran's undervalued in my opinion. Gloria Moltres team had a Sneasler. Yeah, it did, right? Sort this by base stats again. Good evening, good evening. Como, very underrated. Como is super underrated. You can build it with like Clang Soul because they don't know what you're doing in closed sheet best of one. Another Pokemon I think is really underrated is Mimikyu. Right? Mimikyu is a perfect example of this. Mimikyu, good here, can be good here, very good here, can be good here, good here, good here, good here, good here, right? Mimikyu's super good in like most of these. Why isn't it used? Who knows? Maybe we should find out, right? Mimikyu very underrated in these best of one closed team sheet tournaments. All right, we're still looking at things that could be viable. Boulder could be viable. Different way to play Urshifu for sure. Azelf. Azelf's always slept. I'm gonna put Azelf there. Loved Azelf. Azelf can do so many different things. Tyranitar's very good. Regieleki's super slept on in my opinion, if you want to play stuff like that. Okay, we're into the Paradox forms. And the Paradox is like, strike out at being like, huh, this is good in the meta. It could be good. Maybe Iron Moth could be good. But I wanted to ask you, how do you think knockoff Brick Break Scrafty can be in ZA? Hard to say. That's a rough one. I don't see a reason to run that over something like a Garchomp. Weezing-Gigas, that's a combo. And I think that like they technically work. Like Weezing-Gigas are a good example of stuff that could be working here. But if we take a look at this list here, where's my list? This doesn't need speed control, and this doesn't need speed control, right? So like you can go Weezing-Gigas, but like these are not reliant on abilities here. They're photosynthesis mons. They like abilities, but they're not required to use them, right? So Weezing-Gigas is really good when like abilities make or break the Pokemon, stuff with like huge power, right? So I don't want to say that Weezing-Gigas is actually good here. Iron Moth is good. I think Iron Moth is good. Yeah, I think it's definitely a worthy Pokemon to be on this list. Another Pokemon that I actually think is going to be the one that we build around for today, that's the perfect example, is going to be Glastrier. Remember, I said take a look at like previous formats, and like doesn't get much previous than like Sword and Shield formats for like modern day VGC. This thing's super slept on. No one uses it, and this base stat line is ridiculous. And it's good into Flutter. It's good into Bolt. Incin can't trade with you, right? Like you will outvalue the Incin. Rapid Strike doesn't do that much. Ogerpon can be a problem, but that's one Ogerpon. You're good into all these other things. Ice coverage, steel, fighting, ground, right? So I think that like Glastrier could be a really, really good pick. And that's probably going to be the Pokemon that we end up building around for this team, because I think it's very underrated. Brings a lot to the table. Still taking a look, though. What else do we got going on over here? What else are we working with? Bloodmoon was on that list. I think King Gambit is better. So I'm going to put King Gambit there. I've been saying King Gambit's really good for a while. Still looking at this list. Could probably get a little lower. Okie Dokie could be good. Okie Dokie could be good. I'm going to put Okie Dokie on the list. I think Okie Dokie is, Okie Dokie's good. So you're saying Snow Room. That's kind of what we're going to be doing. The next Pokemon I really wanted to talk about is going to be Slowking. And I want to take a look at Galarian Slowking specifically. I think Galarian Slowking's good, but all of these are good. I'm trying to think which one. I'm going to put Slowking and Galar Slowking here, because I think they are viable in different ways. Right? because this one comes with poison, which is really, really good into like a terastallized Raging Bolt, which commonly terastallizes Fairy. It resists Flutter and stuff like that. How do I feel about Decidueye? Decidueye is not good in an Urshifu meta, right? It's not good into an Urshifu meta, in my opinion, just because Urshifu, like, kills the teammate, and then the Decidueye might be able to kill the Urshifu, but like they're Sash, or they could Terra, or they could just swap, and then like you're left trying to make Decidueye work, and it's like really underwhelming. And like a good measure of if a Pokemon can be valuable is if the Flutter Mane can either kill its teammate. All right, we're gonna go into some board states. All right, the reason my Flutter Mane's really good is because Flutter Mane can taunt stuff really fast and can put out speed control, right? And it can also just kill things, right? Usually, there's no Pokemon that can do all of those things. Let's compare Flutter Mane with how it's actually built right now to one other Pokemon that'd be like a Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl can mitigate damage and set screens, and it can have speed control, right? So the thing is, like, Grimmsnarl's trying to say, like, ha, you know what? Like, I'm going to put speed control, and then I'm going to kill your partner. And then you might be able to kill one of my guys, but I already killed your partner, so if I targeted the right one, I should come out with a valuable trade. Flutter Mane says, ha, I'm going to do speed control, and I'm going to kill your partner. But at the same time, like, I could just kill your partner, or I could just kill you, or, you know, you could just, like, taunt things too, and, like, none of that's affected by, like, Dark-type prankster shenanigans, right? So it's like, when it comes to Decidueye has to ask for a lot of permission to do stuff. It's slow. It's not that bulky. Good defensive typing, I guess. Like, fighting grass on the Hisui one is unique, right? But if they use their Flutter Mane and they just kill your Decidueye, your teammate's left high and dry compared to their teammate. Like, the Flutter Mane, it revels in being able to, like, one-shot something without having to use those other tech pieces. So you can have, like, a Flutter Mane and an Ogerpon just go pop, pop to a KO, all right? And you can say, oh, I can Terra out of that, I can Protect, I can do this, I can do that. But when you're using all those things, what you're doing is using resources, right? You want to be able to trade effectively without using your defensive resources, your Terrastallizations, your Protects, your Focus Sashes, things like that. So when you roll up with the Decidueye, that's just going last without, and it's like too fast to be used in TR, you're saying, like, please don't kill me for one turn, please. And that's not what you want to do in, like, a best of one closed team sheet tournament. Hopefully that answers your question. But that's just my thoughts on it. So, like, you want to be a little bit more aggressive. You want to dictate play, be a little bit more proactive if possible. Taking a look at other Pokemon, because we still have a lot of room in this box. Like, this scary box right here, still has some room for some stuff here. Skeleturge seems like it could be good. Is Registeel good? Registeel I would not say is very good. Mainly because there is, like, too much Landorus and Ogerpon and Incin. Like, so just a Mono Steel type, like, doesn't really do it. Farigir's Psyterrain, Farigir's already on the list. It's right here. Right? So I think we got enough Pokemon here. We haven't really filled the box, but we have a good idea of things that could be good. We're going to have to wait for my showdown to chill for like a second. This is what happens when you have 4,000 teams. You got to wait for it to refresh. So we had a decent amount of Pokemon in our box right here. I think we can get a good understanding of what we need to do with this team. So we think, like, we really know that we want to build around Glastrier. So, like, that's the next phase, right? The next thing we want to do is go to Showdown and build. So what you're going to do is pick 2 Pokemon to build around. Keep the others in mind from your box and their roles when fleshing out your team, right? You say good things, we don't see Monkey Dory. You're right, because it doesn't fit with what we're doing. We're building around Glastrier, and don't really need Monkey Dory. Fake Out, Trick Room, Party Shot does everything. Who are we talking about? Are you talking about Monkey Dory? Yeah, Monkey Dory could work, but I don't think we need it, right? It could work. I mean, it could work over Slowking, but I think Slowking brings a lot more to the table. Because now what we're doing is trying to find roles and fit the Pokemon into roles and jobs and stuff like that. So I'm going to pick the 2 Pokemon that I want. And remember, we're optimizing for, like, best of one closed sheet play, right? So we want to build around Glastrier, and every single time I have to do this, I always tell people, don't just, like, pick Glastrier and say, okay, I'm going to build it with weakness policy, and it's going to have this and this EV spread with this Terra and all these other things. You're getting, like, well ahead of yourself doing that. You just want to say, I just want to use Glastrier. I don't know how I'm going to use it yet, but I'm going to find other Pokemon that I can think complement it. Was the shift inspiration of Glastrier looking at the type advantages that high usage on ladder? What actually got me thinking about Glastrier, right, was I came to this usage stats, right, and I looked at them, and I wanted a Pokemon that did not get one-shotted by Flutter. and that could also one-shot Flutter, right? Glastrier, Heavy Slam, easy. And then I wanted a Pokemon that had good matchups into all of the Pokemon here with a defensive Terra. And there's actually not that many Pokemon that can do that, right? Glastrier is one of the few Pokemon that like you could terrestrialize it into a neutral Terra and actually just dump truck all of these, right? You could go like Rock Terra and one-shot all these because like Surging Strike in close combat can't one-shot it, right? And you can actually in some situations use that as like a policy proc. So I want to try making Glastrier work. I think it could work really well as just like a kind of pseudo Trickermancer to other Trick Room teams, because also Glastrier is one of the few mons that like underspeeds things like the Ursa and Lunas and stuff like that. So that if they set TR on me, I come in with something that still checks them. So I think Glastrier is a really good idea. Now, another Pokemon that I really wanted to try and make work was Slowking, right? And I think there's value in both Galar Slowking and regular Slowking. And the thing that I would wanted to make work with both was either going to be, not Slowpoke Mount. I really wanted to try and make Curious Medicine work as like I lead with this, and then like I pivot in the Slowking and I Curious Medicine away the Intimidate, and then I one-shot the Incin with something like a Close Combat off like an AV set. Right? That's kind of what I wanted to do. That was my very first idea upon looking at the usage stats. I think like that would let me check the widest variety of things. And the Incin's not going to take the bait into you, right? I think that like what I was kind of looking at building here was something kind of like Indeedee, right? You go Indeedee and Glastrier lead. And so they can't fake out, right? Or they're going to hit the Indeedee slot, and so they're probably going to knock off it. So what you actually do is you swap out the Indeedee for the Slowking, you activate the Psy Seeds on the swap, you Curious Medicine away the Intimidate, and you one-shot the Incineroar. And then what probably happens is because people's balance teams are so passive, this board is not weak against Fluttermane. So they can't Moonblast to do everything. Moonblast doesn't get them anywhere. They can't really taunt anything. You swap Slowking on a taunt, he doesn't really care, right? And then you just one-shot the Incineroar, and then their board's going to be Fluttermane and two other mons, but you have a Glastrier and a Slowking, and they effectively shouldn't have dealt that much damage that turn, so you should be able to win out, knowing full well that you also have an Indeedee in the back, and then all we need is like one last Pokemon to just come out and say, okay, you're done. This could be my own Fluttermane if I wanted it, right? It could be something else really aggressive like a Hisui Typhlosion. It could be so many different things, right? So that's kind of where I was first looking at the team. Upon going through all that though, I don't know if that's the right play, right? That's one iteration of this team, right? I'm just going to show you guys how building works. Thinking of GC tricks, I think Hatterene is very good. I think Hatterene's okay. It's okay. It doesn't get the K. It's okay. It doesn't like one-shot stuff, which is the problem. Let's take a look at another iteration of this team. I think that you could go with the Glastrier, right? And then I think you could go regular Slowking. And this Slowking would be built with Oblivious because I want to be immune to that taunt. So all I can do is just set my Trick Room. And what I would like here is maybe a more defensive Terra here and then a Covert Cloak. Now you may be wondering, in both of these teams, why am I picking Slowking here? And it's pretty obvious, like we have Trick Room as an option on both of these guys, but it's because you also get Chilly Reception, which lets you pivot out and get a defense boost on your Glastrier, who's, remember, if we're building with AV, it's taking this stat line right here and giving it a +1 on both the Spadef and the defense stat, right? Because we want to give it the weather, right? So I think that like this is another way that I definitely could play this team. Are you looking at, Are you looking at AoE options? Not for right now. I mean, if our opponent has AoE, like that's the thing. Like if we take a look at what AoE they could have, that's the thing. AoE is not that big right now. The only Pokemon that's like a big problem for AoE right now is like Regidrago up here. And we don't care. Glastrier eats that for breakfast. And Goldango. And yes, we have to Terraverse Goldango. But if you Terraverse the Goldango, they only do like 30 to 40%. They have to double in to pick one of these KOs. And Goldango is pretty neutral against like Slowking, especially if you have a good defensive Terra, right? So I was thinking something like this could really work for my team. And so I looked at these guys and I thought like, okay, what else would I flesh into this team? Something like, I actually do think that like Armarouge could be good. You know, that was another Pokemon from our list that could actually have a lot of value. And people tend to think that Armarouges in these best of one situations are a lot more like gimmicky with like, you know, weak armor policy procs and stuff like that. If you have a reliable Snow, then you can bundle Aurora. Sorry, you could bundle Aurora to be usable, or is that too passive for a tier turn? I think that like bundle is still very good, right? But what you wouldn't need is like I don't know if you're trying to say Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales is too passive. You don't need Alolan Ninetales. That's too passive for a GC like this. Rock Pawn is also usable, but I don't know if we need TR that much, right? I think that these guys are good. Oh, Aurora Veil. No, that's too deep. That's too deep. You do not need screens. That's too deep. So I'm thinking, what else do I really want to do with this team? And so what we do is we just go back to our box. We take a look at, were there any Pokemon in this box that like really solve a lot of our problems? I think Heatran could be good. Another thing that I like to do, a little team building trick that I like to do, is when I think about winning, I don't really think about how to win. You want to think like, you want to take a look at a victory screen that you can get, visualize it in your mind's eye, and work backwards, right? I know it's a really weird thing to say, but like, how would you actually win a game, right? Would it be with Glastrier at +4? Probably not. Right? It's going to be some other way with maybe closing with the Glastrier or making them expend too many resources on the Glastrier. They finally take it out and then you send out something that they just can't handle, like a Specs Typhlosion or something. And that is an honest, like true way that you're going to be able to get a lot of your wins, right? So what you want to do is add the pieces that actually let that slot into place. Electabuzz or Magmar are my favorite follow me users, but also passive. Yeah, we're not looking for passivity here. We're looking for aggressive play. So going back to whichever one of these I'm going to tend to use. I'm probably going to try this one because I think these two are really cool. And then I'm probably just going to go Regenerator here. Like, let's be real. Let's just go Regenerator here. I'm going to kick the aggression up to 11 for the rest of this one. Here we go. Torn, right? I want speed control. I want to go fast. Can't stop me, won't stop me, don't stop me. I'm going fast. Torn, Ursh. I'm going fast. I'm going first. I'm going Ursh. And this is Urshi Dark. Right? Because I do think, looking at these usage stats, Urshi Dark is better than Urshi Water because they're going to see the team preview. What you're going to realize in a lot of situations is they're going to be like, okay, that's Urshi Water. It's next to a Torn. They are going to bring their Thunderclaps. They're going to bring their Ogerpons, and you are going to one-shot all of them. And you're going to be like, thank you. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I will one-shot this Water Pond every single time and move on, right? And then the last Pokemon here, because we're starting to get some weaknesses here, if you haven't noticed. Here, oh, fighting weakness. Right? A little bit of fighting weakness. Good old-fashioned. Don't get much better than this one. Easy. Right? So we have aggression and reactivity. We can play in Trick Room. We can play hyper-aggressive. We can play a middle ground where we do a little bit of both. I think this works. You know, you don't have to have the perfect team to win a GC, but you just have to have a team that can win one game. You just have to win one match against someone. And I think a team like this, where they have no clue where this is going, it's good. Because what you can do is like weird situations where you have like Indeedee and Zoroark, but if you pair the Indeedee with like Slowking, they don't know if you're going Follow Me TR, or if you're going like Follow Me or Helping Hand, Normal Terra, Hyper Voice, Double KO, into TR next turn, Close Glastrier, right? You've only even shown 3 of your Pokemon. It's so good, right? Thank you for the follow. So now that I have my 6 Pokemon here, what we're going to do is start fleshing them out, adding moves, adding items, adding Terras, adding EVs, and hopefully we'll get something that actually by the end of this comes together pretty well. So the first thing I like to do is add moves that I know I want these Pokemon to have. You don't need to go with your abilities yet, you don't need to go with your Terras yet, you don't need to do anything weird, but we know that we want these Pokemon to have these moves because they're important for its moveset. We don't know if we need Close Combat, but I'm going to put it on there for now. I'm going to go Icicle Crash, and I'm going to go Heavy Slam. Remember, the Heavy Slam here is to break things like Flutter Mane, so very, very cool stuff. Galar Slowking. Might as well add Expanding Force because we're probably going to get a chance to use it. Let's see. Probably going to add a Sludge Bomb here. So good into things like Rillaboom, Flutter Mane, Bolt after they Terra. There's so many things that good poison coverage is good into, like Ogerpon. Like, holy moly, easy peasy. To specify, you're going with Zoro Hisui because it invites fighting attacks and will bait with illusions for tempo swings. No, I'm actually going with Zoroark here so I can go with a board that is not susceptible to like weird fake out stuff. That's like actually the reason I'm going Zoroark, because like I don't want to, right? So the way that you would beat like Indeedee Slowking is by leading Incineroar, fake out in the Slowking, pivoting in Rillaboom to take away that side terrain, and then next turn you have another fake out, and then it's just GG's, right? So when you lead Incin X and I lead Torn Zoroark, you're like, okay, I gotta fake out the Urshifu, right? Because that's who it's disguised as, right? And I will just not Terra, waste your fake out, tail when you get over your Flutter, and just pop your Flutter with a Shadow Ball, and then you just lose the game. Because your Flutter's now gone, your speed control's gone, I still have my Ursh in the back, and now I pin your Incin easy peasy. Like, so good, right? So good. So it's it'll all come together when I flesh out the rest of the team, but it's going good so far. Tornadus, this is probably going to be cloaked, but let's go Tailwind. So Tailwind's going to be pretty nice here. Tailwind's going to be good. And we got to think, like, what else do I want on this guy? Probably Bleak Wind for now. Just leave it at that. Bleak Wind's good. Urshifu, we know we want Wicked Blow, right? We know we want Close Combat. Do we want Sucker Punch? Don't know yet, because it's on team with an entity. Hard to say. We'll figure it out. Zoroark, we don't Hyper Voice. We already talked about wanting Shadow Ball, right? And so what I do is I just get a couple moves on each of these Pokemon that I know that I want, and I go back to the front and think if there's any more that I want. Do I want Helping Hand? Yes, I do. Helping Hand. Anything else on Glastrier? We only got one move here. I'm going to keep this one blank, because I might go with Terra Blast. Keep this one blank for now. We know we're going to want Trick Room here. Do we need Chilly Reception? Let's put it up there. Just try this. Just try this. All right, Torn. Tailwind. While we're talking about Chilly Reception, let's put Snowscape. Why not? Why not? We gonna learn today. We can even put like Blizzard here instead of one of these moves if we wanted to. Right? Yeah, just put Snowscape. Why not? Urshifu. But Poison Jab. And I think I could sash this if I really wanted to, but I'm not. I'm going to put probably a Choice Band on it, which means let's see some physical moves. Because we could also like Scarf it and have coaching for this guy if we wanted. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways we could play that, you know? Any other like physical moves? Rock Slide would be good. Let's take a look at those usage stats here. Think there's anything else that we could use. Poison Jab wrecks this if they go Terra Fairy. Poison Jab wrecks the Ogre Pawns. Be cool if we got like a double kick. That would be pretty sick, right? U-turn could definitely work. Dig is usable. There's arguments to be made on a banded set for that. Throat Chop. We get Throat Chop? No. Yeah, we do. That's sick. Just Throat Chop the Incin, be like, what are you doing, bro? I've always been a fan of Rock Slide on these guys. I think I'll still put Sucker. Right? I think there are situations in which Sucker is still good, even though we have Entity, because like, I don't think we use Entity on the core with these. I think like these guys, I think it'd be Torn, Ursh, Zoroark, Glastrier in a lot of situations. So let's just put the Sucker. And then Zoroark. We're probably going to have Hyper Beam. Let's just be real. And then maybe like what? I like Shadow Ball over the Bitter Malice. Like, Bitter Malice is not a bad move, but I want that 5 more base power on Shadow Ball. I think it's actually important, right? So let's go special here. Probably like Focus Blast, I'm thinking. Focus Blast is pretty good. Don't think we need Icy Wind, right? I would hate to see this so much. Yeah, that's the whole point, right? Snarl is viable. I don't think there's ever a situation in which I'm going to have calcs for Icy Wind. Burning Jealousy could be one if I was going to be playing against Dozo, because we do need good Dozo checks. Psychic Move for Terrain. It doesn't really get anything from specs, right? That's the thing, is like, we take a look at these usage stats. I think the only thing here that we could actually get would be Focus Blast, because it's super effective here. It's super effective here, right? It's super effective here. Right, so it's like that's one of the few ones that I'm looking at finding value in, because like we're always going to be using Hyper Voice. It's always going to be Hyper Voice. So I think it's probably just Focus Blast. POW, but like you can just hit POW with a Hyper Voice. All these other guys I mentioned, you can't. It won't do enough damage, right? So it's like, I think I like Focus Blast. You could also go Trick here if you really wanted to, but I don't think giving something a specs would actually help me, right? I don't think it would. So I'm going to go with Focus Blast. Right, and so now we should have most of our moves. We have one more move for the Entity. We could put a damaging move, and I actually like Psychic over Dazzling Gleam. It's really good into Amoonguss. It's really good into Urshy Water, and I don't particularly want to deal with Urshy Water if I can help it. So I might want Psychic. That being said, I think I can be a little bit more optimal. I can put Alluring Voice. It does a lot of the same things, but helps me a little bit in the Dozo mirror. Or not mirror, but like the Dozo matchup, I would say. So I'm going to put the Alluring Voice here. We have one more slot on this guy. We still haven't decided our Terras yet. It's important to not waste those. So let's see. We could put High Horsepower there. That's definitely an option. Good against things like Heatran. We could put Throat Chop. We could put Zen Headbutt for Amoongus's. Lash Out is still good. Remember how, like, we were talking about, like, Curious Medicine doing stuff like that? That's definitely an option. Double Kick is good into things like POW, right? If we're really afraid of, like, POW and Gambit, and you know, there's a lot of things that like Double Kick could actually get us like good KOs into that would help us play around Sash, like against like a Sash Chi-Yu or like a Sash Pow. Double kick's very viable there. There's arguments to be made for it, you know? I think high horsepower might be the best option, but a good Terra Blast, there's nothing terrible about that either. I think you just go high horsepower though. And it's mostly for like Arcanine, I think, because I don't think Close Combat KOs the Arcanine at 1, but that one still does. Let's try that. Alright, so we should have most of our moves. We have one more slot here. We know we want Tailwind, we know we want Bleak Wind. I don't think we need, like, Protect here. That's not what this team does. I don't think we get anything off of Icy Wind. Outrage could be spicy. I think Outrage is too deep. Like, what would I hit it with Outrage? A Dragon type? You mean the thing I can Icicle Crash? Like, I don't think that's what we need. No, I think the thing that we need is, this. This is where we're going to start getting the items here. Fling King's Rock. Always. Always good. Always stays good. Very, very solid. People sleep on this. And this is how winning is done. Very, very cool stuff. Love Fling King's Rock tech here. Let's start getting our items out here. We know we want AV here. We know we want the Psychic Seeds here. We're going to go Fling King's Rock. We're going to go Choice Band. And we're going to go Choice Specs. As far as the Indity goes, we're going to go with a Sash. I do like me some Sash Indity. One of my very favorite sets. You just say, hey bro, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And I get to go Redirection TR, bring out Glastrier, close out Ursh. Easiest games of my life, right? So we're setting up these flowcharts here. Let's start to do some EV training and then Terras, right? So let's do Zoroark first. Very simple. You can usually just click the button on Zoroark because you want to still have that same base 110 speed. It's going to let you outspeed Ninetales, a bunch of other stuff like that. Very, very solid tech. One other thing that we could go here instead of Focus Blast is technically like Flamethrower for like Articuno, but I don't think that we need it. Just throwing that out there. Could be also like, I think that like we're fine against Articuno because we have Glastrier, but let's just keep on going here. Very, very solid. Urshifu. Urshifu only really needs to get right here to then technically outspeed things like Tornadoes and stuff like that if we get a -1 Bleak Wind on them. So I think that like that's fine. Like that's all the speed I'm gonna need. I want 252 Adamant on this thing, and then we just have a ton of bulk, right? We have a ton of bulk on this guy. I do not think there's like an issue with fleshing out your set like this. Now I do know that Urshifu gets like diminishing returns on its HP investment when compared to its SPDEF here. You could probably flesh out something a little bit more like this if you wanted, but I do think that like I actually just want my Urshifu to be able to trade really well with like other Urshas that are already locked into Surging Strikes. I want to be able to trade better with like Urshi Darks, and I think that like just having a fat HP pool is like totally fine. So I'm going to test with this and see if it works. As far as Torn goes, we need King's Rock, so we want to be able to fling things, which means we want to go fast, which means we need full speed. If we're going to go full speed on Torn, the next thing we do would just be like a 4-4-4 with a 244, right? So it's better than 252 and 4 in the last, but we're just going to cut that last little 8 up into 2 sets of 4 there because we can. As for the Slow King, we want to be speed reduce 0 speed, very simple. Speed reduce 0 speed, be as slow as possible here. And then from there, I don't know if we actually want a bunch of special attack. What I'm going to do is run a calc here. I'm going to plug in my Slow King. Slow King here. Slow King Galar versus an AV Rillaboom. Okay. So we're going to set these guys at level 50. We're going to give this guy 252 and make him hold an Assault Vest. And we're going to see how much damage Sludge Bomb does. So Sludge Bomb is almost a 2-shot. There is going to be a grassy terrain on the board, right? So we want to make that guarantee 2-shot. So it says 46.1% chance of 2-hit KO after grassy terrain recovery. So what we need to do is add points here until that is a guaranteed OHKO after grassy, or guaranteed OHKO. So we're just going to keep on taking points out until we get it. 95. 95. 95. All right, right there. So we need 144 points. And I think we can get that by just putting in nature, right? So let's see what the nature looks like. Again, our calc here is 144. We didn't set the level, right levels, right? So yeah, 144. So right there gets us that. Awesome. Remember, your nature is going to be putting your highest amount of points in like a specific stat. So like you usually want to put them in the stats that are the highest. And since it ties with SPDEF, like that makes sense. So this lets us 2-shot Rillaboom after Grass Terrain recovery. So we can go Sludge Bomb, they get a heal, and we go Sludge Bomb again, and we just KO it, right? So it means the rest of our points, very simply, could go there. And so we went and like found a way to make that set work. I really like this because we have Psy Seeds and a Spadef. We have this go there, and easy peasy lemon squeezy, like totally works. Gets us what we need here. We could also find a different way to make this work if we wanted to do something like, if we wanted to get all the way up into something like this. What was this? 132? You know, we could go with something like that. See how that is not as optimal? That's just a good example of like using your nature in the right way. It's 2 less points optimal doing it this way, right? So you usually want to put your nature to work and make it do a lot of the heavy lifting. Just better this way. There's probably more optimal ways to do this EV spread too, but this works for what we're trying to do today. Let's see. Glass Trier. Now we want to max this guy's HP stats since he has such massive defenses, but I think one thing about Glass Trier that people always get wrong is they just max this attack stat, and I don't think you need to. We're obviously going to go Adamant, but let's try and run some calcs here. Let's go Glass Trier. So Glass Trier right here. And let's go Flutter Mane. So first thing we're going to plug in is a Flutter Mane here. Make sure these guys are set to 50. Plug in a Heavy Slam here. So you see how Heavy Slam just like dump trucks Flutter Mane? Even if they go like heavy defense with like, that's still a KO, right? On most Flutter Mane sets, right? But then if we are intimidated right there, it's still a 2-shot, like obviously. So like, I think that that's still fine. I don't think you wouldn't see any Flutter Manes that were like bulkier than that. They wouldn't be made right? So I think that like that's probably fine in a Flutter, that's with no investment, by the way. It's not even with Adamant. It's probably even possible to get like a -1 KO to like almost Oko and Adamant. Like that's still almost KOs right there. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. It's still almost possible. It's like, what is it? 43% chance if you want to still KO even through an Intimidate. But that being said, let's take a look at Incin next. And that's against like a bulky Flutter. Actually, since we're still on Flutter, let's just see what happens if it's like a full speed, like aggressive Flutter, right? If we're intimidated, like they're still dead off Heavy Slam if we're full investment. So like even with no investment, just Adamant, they're still dead. So if they're a full sweeper, like, you know, they're done. So like, let's say you're playing against a Flutter Mane and you have like one of your other Pokemon, maybe like your Indity or Torn or your Ursh, and you see that they just like do way too much damage. That means they have full special attack investment, which means they probably just have full speed investment, which means you know that you could actually come out and go to Glass Tier and one-shot them even if they pivot out their other teammate for an Incin with Intimidate, right? So you can still get that KO. So it's actually a really cool calc to, you know, mess with. But let's go to Incin. So Incineroar here. Easy peasy. All right, so Incineroar here, if we're going to plug in Close Combat. So you see Close Combat is a 2-shot onto Incin at -1 if we put 4 points, which is, it's like against that full HP Incin, right? If we have no points here, that's it's not a KO, right? But if we have a +1, like let's say we already got a KO on someone, Close Combat is a really solid option, and I like it more than the High Horsepower because High Horsepower loses. It doesn't get that KO at +1. High Horsepower is specifically here for things like Hisui Arcanine, which I think is a big problem, right? And Raging Bolt and stuff like that. I think High Horsepower is good if, like, you know, you just want to cover your bets against stuff. But that being said, Close Combat, right? It's only really there for the Incin. Maybe like Urshifu Darks and stuff like that. That's only with 4 points, right? So you're starting to see a situation where like, dang, dude, this Glass Tier, like, like need points on this thing. What else do we want to hit? Icicle Crash. Let's start running some Icicle Crash calcs. What would we be hitting with an Icicle Crash? Let's run Raging Bolt. So Raging Bolt right here. Blank set on Raging Bolt. Let's just give it like a 252, like 220. That's like a way fat bolt. That's like a super fat bolt. It's like not even like really like correct bolt. Where's Icicle Crash? There it is. So you do not pop it, right? Right? You do not pop it. It's a 2-shot. And let's see what happens. That's a +1, by the way. So at neutral, it's still a 2-shot, right? If they were to be a really aggressive bolt, it doesn't Oko, but then at +1, you always get it, right? So you're starting to see situations where, like, I think a standard bolt set is anywhere between, like, you know, stuff like that. That's a pretty standard bolt set, which actually can KO at +1. At neutral, it's still going to be a 2-shot, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it's just like Kali I, you don't need a lot of points in attack. The value is in, like, you get that 1 KO and this thing goes to town. And they're reliant to, like, Cycle Intimidates, and Cycle Intimidates doesn't really work against, like, these, right? So that's why this tech is so good. And it lets us put all of our extra points Right in that juicy, juicy SPDEF stat. So it's really cool that we were able to find ways to make like standard 252 sets work, but like back up the math behind them to actually understand why certain things work and certain things don't. So I think this is very, very standard. The last thing we want to do is take that speed and the Indity here. Indity is a little bit weird because we're rocking Focus Sash on it, right? You obviously could run like a speed, like fast Indity. We could do something like that, like a full speed Indity with like Psychic and the works and all that other sort of stuff. I think that definitely could work. You could also even do something like Healing Wish and just like dip out, or even Heal Pulse. We could actually put Heal Pulse there instead of Helping Hand. I'm actually sold on that. I like that. I really like that. Heal Pulse next to my freaking AV'd up Glass Trier. Dude, I'm gonna live forever. So because I'm going to do that, I'm going to just put HP defense on this thing. And the reason is I don't want to die to Urshifu Rapid Strike. That's a Pokemon I'm choosing that I do not want to die to. And I'm going to give myself a Terra that helps me out versus Flutter Mane. You are absolutely allowed to taunt me, right? But I don't want to get one-shotted by a Moonblast crit or like a Chi-Yu thing. So that means I could go Fire Terra if I wanted. And against an Urshifu Rapid Strike, I know that I'm going to be bulk enough to eel it. So I'm just going to go Fire Terra. I think it's solid. I have no issues with it. It also is very good into like Ogre Pond because they're going to Ivy Cudgel you a lot, right? So it's like, not dealing with this, right? So it definitely like works for what I want. But that being said, like, what do I really want to do with this thing? What is the actual like value? What if I took off Alluring Voice and gave it Helping Hand? Would that be good? What else would it, like, I think that I might try that. And have no offensive moves? If you're stacking HP, doesn't it make a Sash less valuable? That's the thing, is this stat, alright, I'm not ever trying to do damage with this thing. If I were to ever click like a Psychic, it's not working out, right? The value in this stat for me is I now know, based off the damage that I take, so like, yeah, it's gonna clock my Sash, but I know your spreads based off the damage that I take, no matter what damage I take, right? If you one-shot, if you come in with a Flutter Mane and Moonblast me and I take 80%, I know what like I should be taking if I had like normal like mixed spread, right? I know the calcs for that. So I can tell how aggressive your Flutter Mane is. If you want to come with an Urshifu Rapid Strike and just like try and blow me the heck up, I don't need to deal with that. I think also another thing I could do here to stop Urshifu Rapid Strike and also just give me better redirection is probably just go Grass. That way I can redirect Spores. I think it's probably a better play. But this lets me understand a little bit more about what I need to do with this team. Go speed reduce, obviously, so Rillaboom can't speed time me. And so this team ended up with its EVs being incredibly easy. Bunch of 252 clubs over here, but that's completely fine. I think it's going to work out just fine. So let's go and do our Terras now. Grass Terra here. I don't know what Terra I want here yet. Don't know yet. I could go Stellar. I think that's actually really cool to go Stellar. But I'm thinking, what Terras would be good in this situation? Ghost? Poison? Oh, leftovers are not good. No, because you need to make the Indity guarantee not die against double aggression. So if they lead like Chi-Yu and Ursh, I need to be like, redirect, no. I'm saying no, right? If you're in open sheet, you might be able to get away with something like that, but this is closed sheet. You want to absolutely say no to what they're doing. You want to say Sash? Nope. Like, I'm not trying to play for value. I actually don't even want the Indie on the board, right? Let's think. What is the best Terra for Glass Trier? Fairy is probably a pretty good one. It gives me Fighting Resist. It gives me Dragon Immunity. It gives me Dark Resist, I guess. Like, I don't need that. I'm going to try the Fairy. I think Water is another very important one, but I don't want to gain like a weakness to Grass for Ogerpon. This thing. What Terra do we go here? Because this guy would only ever be taking AoE damage. He would never take single target damage. So let's take a look at what deals AoE damage. Goldango. Flutter Mane Dazzle. Lando. So we need something that blocks Steel and Ground. That like resists it. Because like we could get Sand Tier, but that's the least one. So we need to block Steel and we need to block Fairy. I do think that it is Fire, but then I already have a ground weakness, so that's dicey. I'm gonna go Fire. and we're just going to see how that works, because we shouldn't be afraid of the Lando. This guy has to go Ghost. That way you can still function versus Fake Out. This guy goes Poison, double dip versus that jab, and then now we have normal Terra here to double dip our Hyper Beams and Hyper Voices. So this team looks pretty good. I'm going to make a team and place. Yeah, I want that entity to go down. So this is exactly like what we wanted to test against. This is the AoE. This is the big single target. This is the redirection. This is the Torn Ursh, right? So we got to think, do we want to try and outvalue this with Zoroark, which we most definitely can, or do we want to go for like a Trick Room route here? This is our very first game. So we could lead Glass Trier. That wouldn't be terrible. I'm realizing that I don't really like the Glass Trier with the Fairy Terra versus Dango, which is like one of the things I wanted to mitigate. So maybe I do go back to Water Terra here, which was one of my better ideas. So since I don't really like this versus the Dango, it's feeling uncomfortable. I'm going to open up with Torn, Zoroark, Glass Trier, and Ursh. And I'm going to disguise the Zoroark as Ursh, and they're going to not be protecting with these Mons because they see the Ursh, right? There it is. Oh, this is wonderful. All right, so you are going to Fake Out here, most likely. I could Fling if I want, but I'm just going to get my Tailwind up. I don't need to be weird. Actually, I don't even need Tailwind in this matchup. I do want Tailwind, though. Tailwind and Shadow Ball there. Huh. Gaming. Value. Value today. Nice Fake Out, bro. And now I can Fling, pivot in my actual Ursh. Yeah. Raging Bolt. So he has Thunderclaps. It's fine. I'm going to actually Snowscape and pivot in here, because I don't need to do anything weird. I want to save my Zoroark, because I'm going to send it back out later. And he's probably just knockoffing or something, but then like I will be unintimidated. Another option for Glass Share is to go Clear Amulet, honestly. Snarl's completely fine. Let's see what he uses here. Knockoff, Wear Blitz, don't care. Oh, we live in 2, gaming. Cool. So Snow's up, all those other things are up. He could Thunderclap me here, but if he does, he's going to get clapped right there. So I'm going to hard pivot. I'm going to Fling. I'm going to Fling there, and I'm just going to close combat this Incineroar. Yep, no Thunderclap. Flinched. Forwards is fine, don't burn. Nice, done so. And we got our +1 that we wanted. Right, now we should be cooking. Okay. Ogerpon Wellspring. These are our last 2 Pokemon. So you can Thunderclap me here. I think if we just save this guy, we don't lose the game. Because you're going to go Thunderclap and hit. So I'm going to hard swap in Zoroark, and I will just let you hit this. Fairy Terra, nice. Spiky Shield, absolutely fine. Snarl, cool. This is a Zoroark, but it's fine. Damage. Look at that. Woo! Big damage. Cool. So Zoroark is going to die. But we have Torn Ursh in the back. We can go reapply, and I think we're good here. So we're going to try and Hyper Beam here. Yeah, let's see what happens. I wish they gave Zoroark Blizzard, dude. That'd be so sick. Zoroark is still faster than these guys, so you kind of have to Thunderclap me. Yep, absolutely fine. I don't know if Ogerpon breaks me, bro. 1%! Yo, we cooking! You see that bulk? You see that bulk, dude? Bro, you see the bulk, dude? You can't even tear anymore, dude. Sheesh. Retail Wind. This doesn't make contact. Whoo! Sheesh. Nuts, bro. Yep. Does not make contact. Cool. He gets a double. There you go, nuts, bro. Last Pokemon's Ursh. So like he's trying to wait out the Tailwind. And like, yeah, I was like, bro, that's GG's. We're GG's. I'm realizing I do not like Fairy Terra here because it's bad in a Dango. So I'm going to change this back to Water, which is my original thought there. And we're going to go into another game. Teamwork, great. Did exactly like what we wanted it to. We analyzed the usage stats, and we built something that they couldn't deal with. Awesome. This is Reggie Drago. I think that we are actually good into some of this stuff. They have a lot of AoE, and they have more aggressive tendencies than we do, but we just need to stop Trick Room and anti-Trick Room tech, and then we should be able to win with Glass Trio, right? So I think that, like, Indeedee could be valuable here. If I were to go with Indeedee and Zoroark, and disguise my Zoroark as my Slowking, they wouldn't need to set the Tailwind, and I'd be able to blow up the Reggie Drago. So we're going to go Indeedee, Zoroark, Glastrier, Slowking. Zoroark outspeeds a lot of their mons, and it sucks not bringing our Ursh here. It really, honestly, truly does. I really wish that I could bring it. Maybe I do. No, I was right. Actually. Yeah, I'm right. Urshifu's better than Slowking. We don't need Glastrier here. Alright, they see TR. It's not TR. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, yeah. So, they scooped because they thought that I would do something different, and they're assuming this is a Slowking. I would have actually had to go redirect, double dip Normal Terra, and blow up them both. But it's still been a good board for me because it would have brought out the actual Slowking, and they don't have any checks for that. But, like, yeah, it works. He tries to pull a fast one, and we say no. No TY. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Very standard looking, right? I think this is good. So we know that we're good into Flutter. We know we're good into Sin. Let's actually try that first lead that I talked about wanting to do. This lead right here. And then pivot in the Slowking and then close Ursh. Now, I don't know if this lead works. I don't know if this works. This might take too much setup. This might be too resource intensive. But remember, the idea here is to lead with Glastrier, soak that Intimidate, force them into hitting the Indeedee, pivot into Slowking, lose my item activating Psy Seeds, make it so I take less damage from knockoff, and then one-shot the Incin. And then after that, we will have hopefully not taken too much damage on turn 1, avoided taunts, gotten a KO, got a +1 on our Glastrier, and been able to leverage advantage to pull them in 2 situations where they can't over-respect Slowking and over-respect Glastrier at the same time, right? I think that that should work. So I think this team has like a lot of really cool options. That's one thing I really do like about it. So let's see what they want to do here. I think I got shots. And leading like this as well for me, it says, oh, also another thing, he set the snow for me. That's so good because snow, you can't crit through the snow. Very, very cool. So we're actually going to heavy slam this, and I'll Trick Room. I don't die here. Not dead. I don't need to waste my Terra either. U-turn, don't care. Good thing I didn't waste a Terra there. TY, my guy, show me that Rilla. Yep, I'll take some healing. Roar Veil, roar at ease, bro. Oh man, I wish I got that KO. That would have been really nice. That would have been really nice. Alright, so we know we have Ursh, but Trick Room is up. So I can pick up that KO whenever I feel like it. Pick up damage there. I'm going to pivot in my Slowking, and I think I am going to just... Yes, I like this play. You heavy slam, and just pivot in Slowking. If they were to pivot in Incin, that would suck, but I doubt. Ah, good play, good play. But you know what? I didn't take the bait. Didn't take the bait. Yep, U-turn's good. So we've seen all 4 of their Pokemon. We know they don't have Flutter, and they don't have Frigoraph, which is actually really good for me. So I think what I actually do here is just pivot out the Glastrier for the Indeedee, reset my terrain, and Expanding Force to break the Rapid Strike. Get a Speed F boost in the process. Play a slightly longer game. Oh, see if it goes down. Oh, he's so bulky, because remember, we don't have that much bulk. Like, we don't have that much, special attack on our Slowking, right? But we're not dead. And we're just going to heal it. Heal Pulse. And Scarf Ursh. It's going to be Rilla pivoting in. Oh, I'm so good at this game sometimes. Woo! Big damage. Any poisons? Yo, let's go! Damn, they're underspeeding my Indeedee with that Incin. Crazy, bro. But now I'm unintimidated. And you can fake out here, and that's okay. You are allowed to click that move. This is the last turn of terrain for you. You would fake out here, though. I'm so good. Whoa! Big damage. Love that. All right. Parting. Yeah, let's see what happens. You got another fake out up. 3 turns on Veil, so it was that 9-tail set. But I see you have fake out pin, you have big damage. You do not break here if I pivot correctly. I still also have Terra. Like, I think I could actually just go... I have poison there. And I have fire here. I think they're going to get this guy off the board and fake out that. So I think I'm just going to let them do that, let them have this, and then come back out with my Ursh correctly. And then maybe just Trastalize my Ursh and be fine. That's what I'm looking at. I could get a regenerator proc by pivoting this guy out, but I just don't want to. Oh, awesome. Yep, I'm okay with that. Okay. Is there a world where I don't die? You're going to run in here, and I'm going to pivot in the Glass Tree Air. Regenerator. Oh, weird. Yeah, not dead, though. Oh, that's fine. I don't care. Yeah, I'll take a heal. Awesome. We can just Trick Room this. So we Trick Room. I think if there's ever a reason to Terra, we Trick Room there. The Ensign is still at 49%. If it's not citrus, I'll just go for it. Yeah, great pivot of you. Let's see what happens. Double dip water. Wow. Yeah, that's still not doing it. You have a fake out now, but like, let's see what you get. Let's see what you get done with it. Wow, Veil is gone. Awesome. So it's more damage here to Sludge Bomb. See what happens. Nice. Nice. Oh! Oh! Does Reception set snow even if it doesn't pivot out? I think it does. Yeah, I do think that it does. But it's not required here. I can dance all day. Let's go. Taken out. Value hath been wrought today, boys and girls. That's so sick. That was great, you know. That guy had a really, like, solid team, and we just did what we had to do. We've won every game. Pyroar, weird, right? Whimsicott, weird. This is definitely a game where we need a Trick Room, right? So this is where that Fire Terra comes in hot. These two cook, those two close. This should be an easy win unless they Trick Room our own Trick Room with Whimsicott, or they come in with Imprison Flutter. We should be able to win. We could also technically go like a weird Snowscape game with Torn to take away their weather, but I don't need to do that. Here we go. Flutter Chi-Yu, easy peasy. Awesome. So what do we do here? We just go Follow Me to stop Taunt, and Fire Terror to stop Heat Wave and or Dazzle, and just Trick Room and Doom. Bring out that Ursh and just close it up. Or Glass Tree, they don't intimidate, you know? Oh, let's go. What do we do here? We sub, obviously. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate it, yo. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Caterpie Club, my friend. Happy to have you here. Imprison Trick Room. Good play. Solid play. Really, really solid. I don't think it loses us the game here, but let's see what happens, because I have to pivot here. So I'm going to try... I'm gonna Follow Me still. You know what? I'm going to go... Helping Hand and Expanding. No, I'm going to Sludge Bomb, I think, because I want to be able to pop the Flutter if it's sashed. And then once the Flutter's gone, we might be able to get something done. Solid play there. Yeah, really cool. Dazzle, there it is. Fire Terror, that's why we have it. Hex, don't care. Bulky boy. I needed that Parabyte. Oh, it's lefties. Oh, what the hell? Lefties, huh? It's weird that Trick Room here doesn't, it says it doesn't work, but it said it worked on Slowking. You notice that? Slowking's Trick Room isn't, you might have some moves disabled. That's actually really funny. Good play. Nice, we lost basically nothing for that. And we're not getting anything value on the Chi-Yu, but like, Chi-Yu's just like, roll this hexing, it's not really a big deal. If I get a poison here, I get value. Yep. Entity's still alive. There's the taunt. See, this guy has all the tech out here. You guys see this? And he poisons. Wow, never ever lucky. All right, so you're going to protect. I'm going to pivot in my Ursh. And I'm going to probably Sludge Bomb your Chi-Yu. Rita protect. Get ready to Sucker Punch there. Yeah, I'm gaming. That does not do any damage. Whoo! Good damage, though. All right, let's see. What do we do here? We Sucker, and we Chilly Reception to bring in... Actually, do I want a Chilly Reception ever? I'm going to Sucker there. And double the Flutter. You shouldn't be able to get out of this. He has Imprison Protect. That is so smooth. You know what I mean? Like, bro. Very cool stuff. I wonder what the last move is. Moonblast, maybe? It might be Calm Mind, honestly. Like, I was using that a little while ago. It stops Calm Mind bolts super well. I made a video on it. Goes up in a couple days on my side channel. Probably Calm Mind. I think he should have been Calm Minding, though, instead of Dazzling. Let's see. They're pretty pinned here. The Sludge Bomb chunks like that. They probably don't want to swap in Venus since I have been using Expanding. So let's see. I'm not too afraid of Chi-Yu, even if they have like a fire move. No big deal. Yeah, this guy's trying to burn the kitchen down. Like, anytime you can beat the Imprisoned Trick Room team and Close Sheet best of 1 with Trick Room, that's like kind of ridiculous, I think. So let's see what we got. Oh, he's thinking. Let's see it. I eventually need to get that Chi-Yu off the board, but like, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think like Helping Hand Sucker might break it from here. But like, I can't Helping Hand Sucker because like, it would set the terrain. Let's see what they do here. It's not taking the timer. It says like stop timer. Did I lag out? I think I lagged out. No. Did the server go down? Because like, it's not doing anything, you know? You guys still here? Damn, this sucks. I'm here. Okay, cool. It's not like my connection. It's obviously the server. Refresh. Let's see. I'm off by 1. Showdown server died? Yeah, I think it did. Yep, there it is. Sucks because I had that game won. There it goes. Alright, Sucker Punch went off. Alright. And he scooped, I think. Oh, I got the poison too. Value. That's a scoop. Value. Give me the value. Alright. Any changes you make? No. Team's fine. I've just been goofing around for like an hour. You know? I don't think there's any changes. The only thing I feel uncomfortable with is the Chilly Reception on the Slowking, and the fact that Slowking speed ties Glacier is kind of weird. But other than that, I think it's fine. So we're just gonna Hyper Voice out here. We're making them over, like we're making them think that like this is a good target here. So they might like go into this. They might Rock Slide here. But they won't Tailwind, so they're probably going to go Rain Dance, like, maybe they Sand Seer, that'd be kind of cool. Earthquake, yeah, I don't care. You might KO if you're banded. Oh, Big Band! Big Band! Alright. When I was running my last year team, I was running Clear Amulet. Clear Amulet's fine, but like I don't really care about the Intimidates. I'd rather not die, right? Because I'm just trying to get that first +1. I think that's the most important part. I think Clear Amulet's like fine. Oh, why are you alive? Ew. Ew. Brother, ew. Thank you for the speed drop though. Appreciate you a long time. Now I underspeed hands. I underspeed like everything. I underspeed it. Oh. I kind of wish I had a little bit more offense in this Slow King, but it's fine. No big deal. Like you were asking like if things I would change, like those would be things that I would change, but it's not really a big deal. I just missed an Icicle Crash AMA. And I'm paralyzed. I got wild. I missed the Icicle Crash and got Wild Bolt parried. Never lucky, right? Hands? You better not have hands as your last mon. You better have that Genie, bro. Blastoise. That is questionable. I do like the chilly reception against these sort of weird shenanigan teams. I underspeed my Slowking now because I'm paralyzed. Fake. Oh, there's a train on the board. There's a train on the board. That's a +1. All right. And now we just chill, literally. Double dip water. Big para. Dump. Never lucky, right? Big spout. All right. So we have Water Tear here. We should be fine, honestly. We just have to hit him once. I've been paralyzed like twice. Wow, you crit me! Parrot a third. That's the third or fourth time in a row, dude. Can I play the game? I just want to play the game. I'm dead. Ah! How many times is that? 1, 2, 3. Miss? You have to go close combat at that point and crit out. Oh, let's go. And then we lose. That sucks, man. Yeah, never lucky. Let's just try these. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. See, what I like to do when I test things is just go through. Like, I think I won my first 5 games of this team, and then we're just going through, like, different, like, B tier and C tier lead options to see, like, kind of how they stack up against a wide variety of stuff. The whole point's not to win everything. It's to just, like, see where you can feel comfortable and not comfortable. You always want to feel comfortable at the start of the game, not like if you're having problems closing out games, that's another thing that you work on. But just like leading correctly is like a whole other thing, and then like not losing too much tempo off the rip. Cool, good lead. I wonder if we get the KO here. Like I think if we do that, we get the KO unless they Terra, like Terra Fairy, you know. And I don't need to Tailwind right now. I don't have Taunt, and I don't want to waste my Fling. It'd be cool to, like, flinch. It'd be really cool if they were, like, trying to Trick Room me, and they went, like, Trick Room Flutter, and I flinched them with a Bleak Wind. That would be sick. Let's see what happens. Yeah, you should be respectful of, like, Ursh, like, Tailwind stuff. There's the Fairy Double Dip. Poison's so good. Dazzle don't care. And Speed Drop would be sick here. Dunzo. 121, 205 booster, which is 307, which means I can't catch you. But I won't die. So you'd have to come out with something weird here. Pelipper. Do I care about Pelipper? I don't know if I outspeed Pelipper. 128, 121. I don't think I outspeed. Oh, that's really bad. I'm still gonna do it. I want to try this, so let's try it. Tailwind is obviously right, but I want to see if I can make him whiff something stupid like a Hurricane. Yep. So you outspeed me with Pelipper. But you whipped the Hurricane! See, and now I get the value from the Torque, because now I get the longest effect of a Tailwind possible. That's so good. That's so good. Here's the arch, but now you see you have nothing for this arch. Yeah, I love that. I loved it, right? That's experimenting with spreads to, like, see if we can make the magic happen. Like, I love that. We got the full mind crush on that guy too. We punished their greed with our own greed. Love that. That's what I like to see. So again, running down the 4 things, you start by analyzing usage stats. You can check that at like Victory Road, Peakalytics, all the different websites. Pretty important to check usage stats. After that, you want to put all the Pokemon that could work into a box, into a really scary box, and just see if it works. You know, we picked a lot of the stuff out here, and we kept the ideas of stuff that could work in in your head when you were actually team building. After that, you want to go to Showdown and just build. Pick 2 Pokemon to build around, keep the others in mind. Very, very simple, and after that, just play a bunch of test games. So I think this team worked, did a lot of cool stuff. I think that it can definitely hold its own in the GC. You could probably get to like 1,600 or 1,700 points with this if you were to play all 45 games. So yeah, pretty good team. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, please think about letting me know, and thank you guys so much for watching. Squash Share worth it with no Calyrex. Oh, definitely, yeah. I'm heading to bed. Thanks for the stream. I like these kind of streams. I learn a lot. Happy to have you here. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I had a lot of good time with it. So think about checking it out. So again, the link to that channel where I'm going to be uploading a lot of this stuff is going to be right here. It says singles battles, but it's just been VGC recently. It's been a lot of fun. So check out that channel if you're at all interested. You can also check out the main YouTube channel if you're at all interested. Been doing a bunch of stuff on both of them. So yeah, I've been having this idea in my head to make this sort of team for a while. And this was actually a question that popped up in my Discord. People wanted to know this sort of stuff. And this is how I build a lot of my teams. You know, I look at the usage stats. I'm like, huh, what's good into like 4 or 5 of these that's like not common? And then pick a Pokemon and then pick another Pokemon that's uncommon to support it correctly. You know, try and make stuff work.